All right. Welcome to today's webinar on how to succeed with social media marketing for mobile. Um, I'll start with introducing myself. I am Sujoy Golan. I currently head digital marketing globally for InMobi, which is one of the world's largest mobile marketing platforms. InMobi typically competes in this space with companies like Google and Facebook. In the past, I've worked with other companies in the digital space, including Flipkart and Media.net. Um, I have about 10 years of uh, experience in this field, and I'm happy to share my experience with all of you and what should be an interesting topic today. Uh, Now that my introduction is done, I'd love to know more about you, I'd love to know more about you. And so, if you could just drop in a line in the chat window that you should see on your panel about what you do and why you think and why you decided to attend this webinar, right? And that would give me uh, that would give me the inputs to make this more interactive and more useful for you. All right, I think we're good to start. Um, so here's what we'll do during today's session, right? We look at two powerful media that is there in today's world. One is mobile media, and the other is social media, and we will understand how they work together and how you can use it, right? So uh, I think you should find this useful if you're a marketer, right? So either if you're already a digital marketer or if you're working in general marketing, or if you'd like to and if you'd like to move to digital marketing as well, right? Or if you were somebody who is working in sales and who is looking for a career shift, you should find this useful. Additionally, this session will also be relevant uh, if you have the motivation to build your own brand on social media, right? So this is not only for marketers who are looking for professional advice, but a lot of this applies uh, to you if you're active on social media, and uh, if you're wondering how you can use social media more effectively, right? Um, Over the last few years, I think, and this is something that we've all experienced, we've seen the transition or the evolution of social media from desktop. Most of us started using social media, think about Facebook, even go back beyond that. Look at, if you think about Orkut, if you think about chat, if you think about messaging largely, right? Those are social media as well. Yahoo Messenger, all of that will be most of this started on PC, but over the years, user behavior has changed, consumer behavior has changed, and social media has largely become mobile. Right? What that also means is that what we are used to doing in the world of laptops and personal computers does not necessarily apply to the world of mobile, because users behave very, very differently in the world of mobile. And what marketers and individuals then need to do is rethink about how we're reaching audiences, how we're interacting with audiences, and how we can be more effective. And that's exactly what we learned today, right? So I'll cover topics that start with how social media users first behave, right? We start from that fundamental understanding, move to moving to what you need to put out there in terms of content, and how to deliver content that social media users love. The third topic that we'll cover is, of course, assets, so images as well as text and copy. How can you create that without too much effort and without possibly professional resources? And most importantly, as with everything else, how do we measure our success and then test and then determine if we're succeeding or if we need to do something else, right? So this is broadly the topics we'll cover. Uh, if you have any questions, feel free to type them out in the questions window. I will take them up either if they're relevant while we are on the topic, or if not, I'll come back to them at the end and I'll answer all of these questions, all of your questions. So this is where we start with, right? We're living in a social world. Our world is social, and proof of that is all the time that we spend online, right? And we've seen that in our own experience, and we've seen also seen that in the, of course, in the numbers that consumer research throws up. Um so as our online activity grows, and that has been growing, you'll see in this graph on the right, for in the last few years, as we as consumers spend more time online, we've also been spending more time on social networking. And social networking as a percentage of the time spent online is a huge, huge chunk. It's close to one third of the time we spent online, at 28% to be specific. And it is also the single largest activity that we do online, right? So we've seen that most common activities, research also shows that users typically spend time on either reading news. The other activities they spend time is watching videos or following sports, right? But social beats all of these to take up the number one spot, and this is only growing, of course. The world is also mobile, right? And what better examples than some of the largest companies in this space, right? So if you look at Facebook, for example, in the last 2 or 3 years, between 2 or 3 years, their users, mobile users, are at a staggering number today, and they've grown over the last 2 or 3 years. Today, 85% of Facebook's users are from mobile. And if you see that graph, that's a graph with a very consistent trend. And over the last two and a half years, Facebook has moved from 60% to 85% at the end of last quarter of 2014. Um, Also, another trend that mirrors this is where users are is where money is, right? And that is exactly why marketers look at are focusing on the mobile channel as well. So a majority of Facebook's revenue, 69% today, uh, Facebook's ad revenue comes from mobile, right? So where users are spending their time is where marketers are spending their money. uh, in comparison, Twitter has over 80% of active users on mobile, and so these numbers are fairly one-sided. They're not We're not talking about a 20-30% or even a majority at a 50-55%, but it's actually 80% of users. We're talking about in the range of 80 to 90% of users are mobile. And in comparison with uh, in if you combine social media with what users are doing on mobile, the combination of social plus mobile just needs focus. Well, what's different? We've all seen social media on PC, and with the evolution that we're seeing on mobile, we've seen that social media is a little different, right? So the most obvious difference that jumps up is that, hey, we're looking at social media on a much smaller screen, and that screen makes all huge amount of difference. If you see, if you look at these two screenshots which I've just put together side by side, uh, the one on the left is a Facebook brand page on desktop, and the other is the same Facebook page on mobile, right? So obviously, content is the same, but the way what users see and the way they engage with this content is very, very different. What that means is that desktop content cannot be reused blindly on mobile, but needs to be reimagined, is what I'm calling it, and we'll understand what this means and how to go about doing it. Okay, here's a quick question, right? And most of us, as users of social networks as well as mobile data, what do you think? And I'll read out some of these answers as you type them in, right? What do you think is the difference between let's take the example of either a Twitter or Facebook, between a Twitter or a Facebook on your laptop screen versus Twitter and Facebook on your mobile app, right? And as a user, and not as a marketer, right? So as a social user, what do you see that's different, and what attracts you on the screen, on a smaller screen versus what is better on a larger screen, right? Feel free to throw in your ideas, and I'll read them out. This should be interesting. I will pause while you just are at it. So one of the responses I've got is visuals. Yes, visuals stand out on mobile screens, and it becomes extremely important. Um, Text and music. Okay, there is also a limited response. I am I'm guessing this is about users being having shorter attention spans on mobile as compared to a PC, because it's a small screen and they want to move to the next post, scroll down to the next post as soon as possible. So there is limited response and smaller attention span. Okay, video. You see, this huge. In fact, this has been in the news in the past few days that video audience on mobile has grown past the video audience on desktop, right? So more users are watching YouTube videos on mobile, or not just YouTube videos, could be Facebook videos, could be YouTube videos, and anything else. So video is clearly something that users love spending time on, and the mobile is quickly becoming a home for videos. Sounds good. I think we've covered most aspects of this. Another important aspect is how we browse through social media on PCs versus mobile phones. And so mobile phones, we tend to exercise our thumbs in what is called thumbing through pages, right? So we just scroll through pages consistently until there is some content, either a post or images or a video that catches our attention, and that just means marketers like us have to be extra sharp in catching users' attention. PC, on the other hand, is able to, due to its larger screen size, is able to give multiple options to the user in one screen, and the user spends, like one of you all mentioned, there is more attention and there is longer time spent to make a decision. Okay. Interesting. This is not something that's widely known, but research also shows that mobile is twice as social as desktop. What that means is that consumers or users are twice as likely to quick click and share content on mobile devices as opposed to what they would do if they're sitting at their desktop. And this is a very interesting statistic that shows that if it's the same person who's looking at something on desktop versus mobile, we are more likely to share on mobile, right? And it's not a difference it's not a small difference, but actually a difference between 7.7% that research has shown on mobile as a sharing rate versus 4.1% on desktop. Going a little deeper, where while once within mobile devices, what kind of devices are our most social users on, right? So there was some research done to compare sharing across devices, and iPhone users clearly beat other devices, right? So in fact, users on an iPhone when compared to a PC user actually is likely 3 times as likely to share content on an iPhone user when compared to an average of as the sharing rate on other mobile devices is about 1.5 times more likely, right? Android is behind, is the second operating system here on this graph, but there is also a significant gap between Android and that on the iPhone. Got it. Uh, we'll pause here, right, before we dive deeper into strategies and tricks and tips. And why don't you do this, right? If you've got your phone with you, which most of you should, open it up, right? And if you have the Facebook or Twitter app or any other social media app, if you don't have Facebook or Twitter, open it up uh, and scroll, right? I'm following up to the last question, but if you scroll through your uh, Facebook feed, Facebook news feed, or your Twitter timeline, uh, what makes you stop as a user? So if you put on your user thinking hat, and if you look at it through as a user, what makes you think and stop? And this could be posts from your friend, and what makes you engage, right? So do that. I'll pause for 2 minutes, and this should be interesting. I will read out the responses that I get within the chat window. Okay, quite a lot of them are coming in. Keep sending them in. I will go through them. And so obviously, so mobile devices are often constrained by network speeds. Right? We are either using our carrier networks, or even if we're sometimes on Wi-Fi, network speeds are a constraint. So if there are large videos or too heavy images, your user and they don't load in time, the user might just leave, however good the product is. That's a good one. Right. So only important content and important buttons are on mobile. That again uh, comes down to screen size, where given the screen size, there is only very little that marketers can put into one frame, right? So if you look at text that is very long, then will not show on one screen, and then we lose users' attention. Or if there is images that don't fit into one screen and that are too large, then again we lose the user. Another one says that users, as a user, when the person went on to uh, their mobile social network, they don't like to see advertising, because they only like to see the things that they have visited. So any advertising, and that I think as marketers, it's a lesson that we learn, is any advertising then needs to be shown to the user in a way that does not interrupt the experience, right? So if it's an ad that is distracting, if it is an ad that pops up and is extremely and that blocks the view of content that the user likes, that's something that irritates users. Perfect. uh, another another one of you say, isn't mobile more for the consumers, and uh, would be not as tenable for people who work on laptop, example programmers? My answer to this question would be, mobile is for consumers, and consumers are using, and since the usage is high, developers then are developing for mobile, right? Developers are using laptops, but that doesn't mean they don't have content that they consume on mobile. They're consuming this all the time, and research numbers show this. Are clearly indicate this direction that while work is often done on laptops, entertainment, social networking, news, etc., is gone completely mobile. All right. Uh, I have some more images. Great. A lot of you all have pointed towards images, make us stop and catch our attention, relevant information, good pictures, catchy slogans, specific content, and celeb news. Perfect. Great. That gives us good input to get into action items from all of this. There, we'll start with what most of you all have spoken about, which is images and video. Right? Social media today is mainly a visual medium, right? And if we look at that, this is more true for mobile than PC. Given that there is limited space, long copy often does not work. But images, and when I say visuals, I would also include video in this. Images are something that catches every user's attention, and that's a learning, right? So Instagram is become larger than Twitter. Instagram, which is an image sharing platform, photos on Facebook, and guys, this is something that we note would be good to useful to note as we start composing our Facebook post, as we start composing our Twitter posts, right? Photos on Facebook generate 53% more likes than an average post. If you compare a tweet with a post with a photograph and a tweet without a photograph, the one with a photograph on an average earns 35% more shares, which is in terms of retweets. Right? Pinterest, which is another large visual sharing and photo image sharing platform, is now the fourth largest driver of traffic worldwide. So, what are the top three rules when it comes to the most critical element on mobile social media today, which are images and video? Uh, Number one, use visuals in every post if possible. As a marketer, as an individual, as somebody who is looking to ultimately in each of our in all our communication, we're looking to reach other users. We're looking to get them to stop and spend and catch their attention, and also getting them to engage. Right? In all this, use images, right? Use photos, use infographics, use design graphics that have been designed, use videos, right? And slideshows. Right? So these are tools that successful marketers leverage effectively to uh, to achieve their goals, and this is goes right back to user behavior, in which research shows, and all your feedback as well, that this is what catches users' attention. I'll pause. Are there any questions? Where can you get those images from? Right. So if you're an individual, it's okay. It's either you sharing photographs, etc. But as a marketer, and if you are either running marketing and you're posting on the Facebook page of your business or the Twitter account of your business, Twitter handle, where do you get images from? It's okay as an individual to use uh, images that either you have taken or that you have sourced from the internet, but businesses and companies need to be extremely careful, because they need to be sure that the images that they're using are not covered by copyright, right? And most of these are. So a good way, and you should all try this, and we'll the recording and the slides of this webinar will be available, but you can use Google image search. That's something that's at the fingertips of most of us. And image search, and when we filter down image search, like in the screenshot that's shown on this slide, you can filter this down to images that are labeled for reuse. So these are images that have open copyright, and the copyright owner uh, has allowed open reuse. So if you pick these images and use them in your posts, you're good. in this example I've just used, if I want to post something about retail or if I want to post something about shopping, and I've looked for pictures of shopping malls, and these are some shopping malls that uh, images that have been labeled for reuse and are free to use. As for businesses that are larger, that are more mature, we typically uh, look at sources like Shutterstock.com. Now, Shutterstock.com typically has a large supply of high quality photographs. Right? These are photographs taken by professionals who've contributed them to the site, and they're available for a fee. And this is available either per photograph photo download, or it's available for a certain amount of pictures every day or every month. Right? So any business getting into this, looking for a source of images that they can use not just for social media but also for their websites, for their brochures, etc., use Shutterstock. There are a bunch of other websites that also offer free stock photos. There is a list here that I've small list that I've put together of some of these websites that have good photography: pexels.com, stocksnap.io, gratisography.com, freestockphotos.com. But obviously the photographs are limited here, and if you're looking for very niche photographs or photographs of something very specific, you might have need to go to Shutterstock because they might not be available on as free stock photographs. Okay, the second rule is, as a successful business, most successful businesses that are effective in on with sharing and with producing content that is being shared by users are create do create original content, right? So original visual content is a bunch of different things, but we see that in today's, so on social media, 20% of content or 20% of users create content, whereas 80% of users then share those content. Right? So the content creators then have a disproportionate influence among content that gets shared to the rest of the world. Right? So being in the 20% or creating content that gets shared widely is very very useful, but it obviously takes the effort to create that content, but there is more than enough reward that comes from that content being shared and effectively marketed, right? Where do you How are you able to create content? Here are a few top tips for images, right? So if you're creating the content, you can use Instagram, where you can put in filters. You can use Photor. Photor is an app that's either on, it's available for PCs as well as for mobile, right? So Photor allows you to add effects to images. It allows you to crop. It allows you to add filters, change, rotate, edit images that can be shared. Um, for businesses that want to go out and educate consumers, right? A lot of B2B companies, a lot of consumer companies that put out, and if we see on networks like LinkedIn, where users largely go in to share professional content, and Twitter as well, infographics work really, really well. And I'm assuming most of you know what infographics are, but for those who don't, infographics are a visual representation of data or information. Right? So put together, they're a great way to consume that information, and users like to share it with others, and that's something that's always very very useful in creating. Right? So and in a lot of cases where design is a constraint, infographics don't need designers. Infographics look, there are tools that allow you to enter data, to drag and drop different elements and create your infographic. A top tool in this category is Canva, which is available at canva.com. You should check it out. Canva is one of the top tools in this area where you can go and create your own infographic. You don't need to be a designer, and you can create really good infographics that that are quite that will be popular, that are often popular uh, with users. Another category is video. Right? So all of us shoot video. Video is universally accessible now. Most of us uh, we have captured video on our smartphones and shared, but in a professional context, this works too. You don't need a professional camera to capture video and then edit video. Most editing tools, there are a number of editing tools that are available as smartphone apps, and video that is captured using a good smartphone camera can then be quickly edited and shared on social media. And so these are tips that you as marketers or as individuals can take and can go out and do it by yourself, right? As self service we call it. You don't need a team of designers. If there are companies that have teams of designers, which is good, but even within those companies, often when we need to get things out of the door quickly, we look at these are tools and tips that help us achieve all of this professional looking visual content, create professional looking visual content by ourselves. The third one is we looked at visuals and we looked at copy, right? So copy, when I mean text. So how do we see text and copy coming together? And as users, we've seen that things that catch our imagination or catch our attention are often visual and text that comes together, right? For images, we've seen that you can use uh, there are multi other tools like Canva that you can use to combine images and copy with great looking fonts, with great images that you can either take from Shutterstock or tools like Canva, which have their own set of images and bring together and cut and edit them into sizes that are shareable. These are some good examples of content that's been created. So either there's a French restaurant that's advertising a discount, there is a clothing store that's advertising a discount. So and there are photography, there is a travel, there is some travel marketing that is going on. So these images are then usable as cards on social media, they're usable as icons, they're usable as cover images, etc. Right? There is no limit to the different ways in which we can use these images, but it doesn't take too much and it doesn't take professional resources to put together these images that we know work on social media. And what are we trying to achieve all this? And this is something that you've experienced as well when you all took out your smartphones and you thumbed through your apps. Is the objective is to stop scroll, right? So ultimately, we're trying to get users as they're scrolling through pages and pages of content on with their thumbs on their phone screen is to find something that they like and stop. Right? So as marketers, everything that we do is towards this goal, because if users don't like that content or they don't find it interesting, they will just keep scrolling to an infinite amount of other content that is there on their feed. Right? They don't have to next, uh, click a next page button to go to the next page, but instead they will see a stream of content that will keep flowing towards them. All right. The second, while we've looked at uh, images as content and video as content, something that you need to be 100% sure about is what you're looking at when we see a business page, what catches our attention. The first thing is the profile page. When we land, we look at what is the picture that that is there on the page as the cover image or as the profile, and what does the description say, right? So social profiles on mobile are all about the bio and cover images, and the image on the right shows this difference quite clearly, right? So on the image one image here is of Facebook on PC, and the other image is of Facebook on mobile. Facebook on mobile, when a user lands, the first thing that they see is a cover image and a description. Whereas the same page on PC also shows a post, it also shows multiple links, it also shows a friends list, it shows 100 other things, right? So given a larger screen size, users are able to view a bigger canvas, whereas on mobile, a profile pic and bio becomes extremely important. So a learning for marketers is to make sure on your Facebook page a profile pic is never blank. A cover image, make sure you all have a cover image. I will talk about a cover image specifications in a little more detail, but make sure you have a cover image that is attractive and represents what you want to communicate, and also have a bio, which is a description of who you are. Here are some specs of what cover images sizes are on Facebook and Twitter, and profile pics as well, right? So on I will I've provided links to these so you can later use this as a reference to go and go back and look. But this is all here. So there is Facebook, there is Twitter. What does it look like on LinkedIn, and what does it look like on YouTube? Right? Um, for more info and to access these, you can have specified two links here. These are detailed guides on social media image sizes, and to make sure that the images you're putting out are not covered or are not cropped, and you don't lose out, and users see the best presentation that you're trying to give them. Okay, and this is the third most important element of social media, which are CTAs. As a marketer, when I say CTA, I refer to call to action, right? Uh, and call to actions are extremely important in social media, because social media, like we've seen, are is a combination of bite-sized content that users can consume and they click through further to explore, right? And because these are bite-sized content, we've also seen again that users tend to share this more. So the learning here is that in every post that you put out, please give your users a clear direction and ask them to take an action that you're trying to that you want them to, right? So ask them to either read a post, ask them if you're putting out a link for a file to download or for a document to download, please ask them, please download this document or please download this video. If you would like users to share your post, in that case, please ask them to share your post, and use action words, right? And I've pulled out a few good examples of this. Right, so if you see, there's a Walgreens post. Walgreens is a large retail chain in the US, and here Walgreens is promoting their mobile app, and it says the Walgreens mobile app allows you to print photos directly from your phone. Click here to download. Right. We also have Cadbury's in the UK putting out another post which says, here, retweet this, please. And here is a post which I had posted from InMobi to say, find out what back to school shoppers are doing. Right? If you see something common among a lot of these posts, is these posts use action words. Right? We don't just post a sentence in isolation, but effective social media posts tell the user what is expected of them, right? We These posts tell the user to either click here to download, to retweet, or to find out by clicking through these links. And there is also enough data that shows that these posts with calls to action, and this is what we're calling CTAs again, are more effective. And a measure of this effectiveness is, of course, the rate uh, at which users share these posts, as well as the rate at which users click through, which is called a click through rate. Okay, the fourth most important point is once users click through, right, and we're moving away from social media as marketers. Once we move away from users click through from social media, we typically drive them either to our websites, to our app page, to our app stores, uh, to a video site, or anything for them to take the action that we'd like them to do. And once they are there, we need to ensure that all the effort we've put into on social media is not, we give the user enough reason to stay there and take that action and not just bounce off the page, right? And this comes to us who are many of us use social media as a lead generation tool. We want users to come onto a landing page, fill out a form, and leave their information, right? This is information that we can use to drive sales. We can use to later send them emailers, drive email marketing, and a whole lot of other things, right? Which are all important to businesses. Uh, so social media is then also used to generate. So we've seen the entire list of things that we can do to get users to sign up. We've seen e-commerce portals offer coupons, offer newsletters, offer discounts of many types if users leave their information, right? And uh, in most cases, the advice is to use the native features of social networks as much as possible, right? So on social networks, as businesses, our final objective is not just to give users, our objectives are not just to give users interesting content, but in effect take them outside the social network and get them to interact with our business, get them to grow sales, get them to leave their information so we can call back and things like that, right? So here an image that you see is an example of a call to action of a landing page where a user from social media comes in, clicks through, and then leaves their information, and then uh, either is able to download an ebook, or gets a discount coupon. But also that information lies with the marketer, and we're able to use it to the benefit of our business. We look at a few examples of how, as a few tips and tricks of how, as marketers, you can use native features of a few social networks in order to get the information you like. So, landing pages are, of course, possible outside social networks where we have a user clicking through, landing on your web page, and then filling out a form or signing up or completing a purchase. But there are features that Facebook and Twitter and other platforms provide where without leaving the platform, you're able to get this. And these are things that you can try. You should try and let me know what your experience is. I'd be happy. Uh, you can create Facebook tabs. If you have a Facebook page for your business, you can create a Facebook tabs and you can embed forms within that, right? We've seen an example. Here's an example of a company named Donor Snap, who's created a Facebook tab with a form embedded in it. Somebody just needs to fill out a form, and then they go to the next step. Uh, and if you'd like to pursue this one step further, on the right, I've given a few additional resources where resources in which about third-party tools that you can use to integrate forms on Facebook tabs. Right? And this actually this prevents the need of a landing page in most cases. If you need to spend time and effort building out a web landing page, this is a good alternative which the user can action within Facebook. On Twitter, this is something you can try out as well. Use what Twitter has featured in terms of a Twitter card. Now, these Twitter cards, Twitter has a number of different types of Twitter cards where you can insert an image, and you can insert an image. Again, like through many of the ways that we discussed, through using an image from Shutterstock, from Google Images, or from Canva, and use that image, put in a headline into the card, and then putting a call to action button, a CTA button, right? So that is a quick Twitter card. Here's an example on the left of a Twitter card created by a company named Marketo. We'll see there's an image. Of course, the image says download now. So there's a strong call to action there, which is an important point to note. Then there is also a headline and there is copy which says take your event marketing strategy to a new level. And then as a user, if you click get guide, now since you are already logged into Twitter through your email ID, Twitter is able to immediately capture that email ID without users having to fill up a form. Right? And here's the advantage of native lead gen or native lead generation versus taking the users to another web page and getting them to fill up a form. Using a Twitter card, you can just say get guide, and the form and their email ID is immediately captured on the card, right? And then later, when you can download an Excel sheet or a CSV sheet with email IDs of all these users who have shown interest. On the right here is a business called the Barista Bar, where they're offering users the opportunity to join a club, and they will send users daily deals. All they need is an email ID. So just by clicking CTA button that says join the club, and also note that the CTA buttons, text on the CTA buttons can be customized. It's smart marketers also use text that is not just the usual sign up or register, but instead you'll see CTAs that say get guide or join the club. So when user clicks join the club, uh, Twitter securely captures their email ID and other details, which we can then use, right? This is a paid feature by Twitter, but this is a self-serve feature. So anybody with a Twitter account is then able to set up this ad even with a small amount of money and is able to run the campaign. If you're also looking to create landing pages that are on your website, make sure that you follow the best practice uh, of having a minimum number of fields on the form, and having a headline, right? This is a best practice of a page that you see here, an example of a page that's followed all the best practices. Make sure your form is above the fold. When I say that, I mean that you see users are able to see the form without scrolling. Make sure you have only the most important form fields that are there, and that you don't have uh, too many form fields, otherwise users will drop off. You have a headline, and you also have some copy that immediately tells the user in not too many words what they will gain if they sign up. And the fifth uh, and the last tip on succeeding with social media on mobile is, when do you put out this content? And this is something that is critical because mobile is a medium that is used throughout the day. So it's not something that users come in for 5 minutes of the day and then go. And we've seen that in our own use of Facebook, for example, right? So we've come in, spend 1 minute looking through the latest posts on our feed, and then go back, and we again come back after 2 hours, and then we go back, right? So as marketers, that just means that if you're on top of the feed of the user, you are seen, otherwise you're likely to get missed out. uh, so regular posts ensure that you're on top of the feed, right? So and this graph is shows some important data in terms of how many tweets a day are effective, right? So anything above uh, the x-axis is the tweets per day, and the y-axis is the engagement rate, the total engagement rate. And the total engagement rate actually starts plateauing and remains steady after about 3 or 4 tweets a day. So that seems like the 3 or 4 tweets a day seems like the sweet spot for the total engagement rate. But engagement rate per tweet, again, is around that spot. And most businesses, so 3 tweets a day at different points of time at which you know your users are awake, are a good practice. There are tools that allow us to schedule tweets, tools like hootsuite.com, tools like TweetDeck. I'd be happy to share these links if you need. But these tools allow both individuals and marketers to schedule posts throughout the day, so we don't have to go in at different times of the day and post specifically. For Facebook, 5 or 10 posts per week is found to be the sweet spot and most effective. Anything below that, anything above that, was suboptimal. But again, there is no correct answer in every case. You will find out uh, after testing and looking at analytics and all of that. And all social platforms have analytics built in. So if you go to Twitter or if you go to Facebook, you can look at what the engagement is and what the number of shares and the number of clicks you have per post. And the only way to find your own sweet spot is to test, test, and test. And that's what all successful digital marketers do, is to have a hypothesis, put out something, and test its effectiveness. If it doesn't work, change it. And that brings us to the end of this session, guys. We have a short amount of time for questions. I'd be happy to take any. Okay, I have a few. I'll just take already that have already come in. When we post something on social media, is it available? It is available to both desktop and laptop. Uh, that's called digital marketing. Is there something related to mobile marketing specifically in this? Uh, Anything that is available on mobile, you're right. If you post something on social media, it's available to anybody across different kinds of devices. But mobile marketing is something that you post specifically, that is optimized for mobile devices. So video, while users on desktop can view video as well, users uh, on mobile are what it is most tuned to, and that's the kind of content you're creating as marketers, which is then what you call mobile marketing. I want the names of some companies which help in marketing through social media. There are a large number of companies that do these. Most of these are social marketing, social media agencies, both big and small. You can, in fact, a Google search will tell you, and there are a number of reviews that are available online on the performance of each of these companies that you can refer to. How do you get the maximum traffic on every post, right? That's something we as mobile marketers or as digital marketers overall are trying to achieve, is by posting content that is interesting to users, right? uh, that is the way to get as much traffic on the post, where users will not just see the post and scroll through, but actually they will click through and complete your action. And that is how you drive engagement. How do you drive the largest audience? Is by making sure you get as many followers on your Twitter or Facebook pages and as many shares. So even if you have 100 followers, but each of those 100 followers share something and they have 100 followers each, you then are reaching 10,000 people. Right? So that is the power of the network effect that each of these social platforms offer. Is mobile marketing limited to social media? No, not at all. Not at all. Mobile marketing is something that businesses use across different channels. Social media is one channel. And incidentally, we at Edureka are starting a course in the next few weeks on mobile marketing specifically, which will cover a lot more. The link to that course page is on the slide, and you can go through it. How do we know the density of keywords? Does it matter in digital marketing? It does, because social media uh, is also SEO'd. So when somebody searches for something, you would like to know density keywords. This is something you will have to test. There is no one answer to this, but make sure you mention this enough times, 2 or 3 times at least in one post is a good number. What other channels are there in mobile marketing? This is something that I won't be able to go through in detail, but I can quickly talk about. We have search marketing, we have search marketing on mobile, we have display, we have paid campaigns, we are able to run email marketing for mobile. There is so much that we can do, right? Consumers are spending time, and marketers are spending money on all of these channels. So all of this is relevant, but uh, this webinar is not about those, and we've reserved a larger course on that, which you can look at if you're interested. All right, guys, we've just, in fact, exceeded this by a little bit. Thanks for attending. You guys were a lovely interactive audience, and uh, we'd love any feedback that you've had. Click through the link that is on the deck, uh, and you will also, on the deck, the recording of this will be shared by Edureka and should be up on the page soon. And I hope you found this useful and will use this to grow your own social media presence. And if you're doing this as marketers, I hope you'll be better marketers after reading this. Thanks.